Hello, faithful! I'm Keven Crothers, station manager for White Throne Metal Radio. On today's video, back to our Unsigned band series, we're talking about my favorite unsigned band, Soldier, from the San Francisco Bay Area, up Welcome back to another video today. Like I mentioned earlier, Unsigned band series, and I held off doing this one for a long time because of my own personal involvement with the band today. Soldier, was a melodic metal band from the 80s, 1985 through, 89, with a Christian point of view. I had the privilege of working with them, being involved with them for, over 2 years. I met them in 86, and I worked with the band pretty much until the end, I guess in 89, so 3 years, if I remember right. I served as a roadie, guitar tech, not really, but a gear guy for Mr. Rick Hunter, and had a lot of fun. Basically, what does that mean? That means I got to stand on stage, I got to look important, hand Rick his guitars when he needed to change them, a song, or he just wanted to play something different, or what have you, or if his string broke. And he also had this little power boost, it was a little pedal on the floor, and after, I don't know, probably a year or something like that, I started to hit it for him and just push it. I'd hold on to it so it wasn't out there on the stage, and I just got to know the songs and know what he would want to do well enough that, again, I got to be important. Originally, for me, though, with Soldier, I knew drummer Al Whalen, who had played in the first Bay Area Christian metal band, the underrated, unheralded heavy metal band Golgotha. They put out the Prisoner demo tape, 4 songs, but they also had a couple of demos prior to that, and I actually saw Golgotha live once at Chabot College, and about a year or 2 later, I met Al and bass player Adam Alvarez. So met them. Golgotha was on the verge of breaking up, apparently. Got to know Al a little bit. Started working a little while later at Dearborn's Bible Bookstore. Probably a year after that, 1986, Al comes by the Bible Bookstore. I'd seen him maybe once before. He comes in real excited, saying, "Hey, I'm in a new band. We're going to be doing an all-ages show. It's a Christian rock, metal band. Is it okay if we leave some flyers here?" Well, I was working at Dearborn's Bible Bookstore in Hayward, and he dropped off these flyers advertising a all-ages concert at the Mabuhay Gardens in San Francisco on the Broadway. This was in June of 1986, and the MAB, as it was affectionately called, was truly a dive. But I got a chance to see Soldier there for the first time, was totally enamored, blown away, thought they were the greatest thing of all time. When you're 18 years old and you don't know anything, frankly, they were a great band even then. I remember I met Rick. I said hello to Al and ended up talking to Rick Hunter, a.k.a. Rick Martinez, for I don't know how long. Talked his ear off, I'm sure. And probably after, probably got phone numbers and that kind of thing, and asked if I could come to band practice and this kind of stuff. And finally, after much pestering, I'm sure, and I was told I could not record anything. That didn't come from Rick or Al, it came from other people in the band. And because they didn't know me, it made sense back then, of course. I was like, okay, I was just all too ready to just come and hang out and watch the process. And I was so green, didn't know squat, but I thought I did, and was greatly appreciated that I was allowed to come back again and again and again. And being the geeky, nerdy music nerd that I was, and to a certain degree still am, I just kept going, and I was in the inner sanctum, right? And after some pestering, I remember talking to Rick, and hey, I could help you load your gear, I could help you set up, and this kind of thing. And he was like, okay, cool, and I was living the dream. My comments in this video, I admit, are biased, but the reality is Soldier is and were not, they were a great band. They are a great band. They were not another flash in the pan. The fact that they stayed together for, 3-4 years, frankly, is a testament to the fact that it was a pretty strong, thriving entity. They wrote songs. They could play live. They were a fantastic live band. They didn't stand there. They honed their craft, playing, all over the Bay Area, and San Francisco and Oakland and the South Bay and the East Bay, and they played with Norwegian metal band TNT at the Stone. They played with New York metal band Riot at the Stone. They played with LA's own Leatherwolf at the Omni in Oakland. Not to mention playing with YNT at the Omni in Oakland, and Vicious Rumors, Atlantic recording artist Vicious Rumors, also many times in Oakland, San Francisco, at the Stone. They also played with Vane, who released an album on Island, I believe it is, and not to mention Cry Wolf. Soldier were a great band, and made a great impact. They just couldn't get that elusive secular record deal. Not to mention they were invited to play, at Metal Midnight at the first His Festival, the first Christian all-metal festival, frankly, June 1987, 12 hours long. The story is when we got down there, they thought we were Mormons. I don't know how that rumor started. It was either rather quite ironic or funny, or I don't know what, but I remember being told by a couple of guys as we were getting ready to set up the stuff, and it was like, they think we're Mormons? What? A couple of the guys, who ran the festival, they all came out. I think it was actually Jimmy Brown from Deliverance who approached the guys and like, hey, are you guys Mormons? Something like that. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me in the comments. But yes, it was tremendous. They that show. It was like, I'd never been to Riverside, California. I'd never been outside the Bay Area, really, especially SoCal. And, it was 110, 115 outside. It was probably 120 degrees inside that movie theater in Riverside. How was I to know that 14 years later, I would be an associate pastor at a church in Moreno Valley just outside of Riverside? How ironic is that? They were asked to play at the Metal Mardi Gras, came back, and really, I don't know, I think when the band went on was in the middle of the afternoon, and there were 1,000 people, I think, already there by that point wanting to see the band because of what had happened at the His Festival, and it was pretty amazing. The band themselves they released a couple of those proverbial demo tapes, the first one, if I can get the glare off, there it is, Louder Than Hell, 7 songs. The follow-up was the big one for the band, which was Babylon, if I can get that there. The cassettes, yes. They sold over 4,000 copies of Babylon on cassette. No internet, no major push. It was through doing concerts and, you know, getting written up in like White Throne magazine, Heaven's Metal magazine, some of the other underground Christian metal magazines at the time. And cassettes were sent all around the world. And it was amazing. And, you know, here, not a couple of years ago, Rox Productions did their in their Unsigned Band series, Underground Record series. This was what, number 10, the vinyl, you know, with all of these great photos and everything else. Oh, gotta have the white vinyl, of course. And, you know, that's it. There's also of course, prior to all that, there was a CD that was released on M8 back in, 2002. And, you know, at that time it was called the Definitive Collection. Rox, it did the 30 Years and Beyond, full-on expansion of the thing. You know, CD, 2 discs. If you were an early, you also got a DVD of live stuff as well. Of course, there's a couple of live videos on YouTube. I will take credit because they were like 10-minute. I think some of them were a song or two. But I kind of had some VHS tapes. I was able to convert them and I uploaded them. So if there are, you know, several of those videos, yeah, they come from me. I'll just take credit for that. Chris Horn. Oh, Chris, dude, I forget your name, but I know you helped shoot a bunch of those, and I didn't shoot them. I'd still have possession of some of those videotapes. So just figured I would mention that. So what else did Soldier do? Well, how about some of the songs? You know, how about Louder Than Hell?
We'll be forever young, forever young. Heaven's coming down. Sweet and sound. Heaven's coming down.
How about Deadly Weapons?
Strike the enemy, deadly weapon. Stop feeling abused. Don't turn your back. Once you let down defenses, he will attack.
How about Heart of Stone?
You used to cry yourself to sleep. Promises you swore to keep were broken. Your desperate heart told desperate lies. You've got a heart of stone. You've got a
Soldier were not just they were not a hair metal band. They had some more commercial leaning songs like Tears and Angel, you know, but at the same time they would rip it and rock like Dokken, like early Striper now. They weren't a pop rock band. Some people just see that, you know, they were a band that could have and should have been signed. both Frontline Records and Pure Metal Records did approach the guys about signing with those labels. The band turned them down. They really just wanted that secular deal. In hindsight, which is always 2020, perhaps they could have done it, but should they have? The core of the band from 1985 to sometime in 1988 was obviously Jimmy Arsenault, lead vocals and guitar, Mr. Rick Hunter on lead guitar and background vocals, Mr. Mark Allen on bass guitar and backup vocals, and Al Whalen on drums. And then in mid-88, I believe it was mid-88, Mr. Jason Souza came in and took over on drums at that point. Jason didn't do any actual recording of, on those first demos, because Louder Than Hell came out in 87, I'm looking, yeah, 87, and then Babylon came out in 88, and they, all in all, they were a great band. When Barren Cross recorded their Louder Than Hell album at the International Ballroom in Southern California, they asked for Soldier to come down and open the show, which they did. When Soldier would come and play Southern California, they would put butts in the seats, and they were asked to play. They didn't play many shows down there, and actually only the two of the trips they made I didn't make. I didn't make the International Ballroom show, trying to be responsible. I had finals for school, and then also when they recorded the 2 songs for Cal Metal 2, I didn't make that trek as well. That being all said, Soldier were a fantastic band that deserved to have been signed, deserved to at least get one full-on album out. Maybe they could have did what Eternal Right did. They recorded 1 record for Pure Metal and called it a day. Not to say that wouldn't have been a bad thing as far as a testament to their material, but the fact that the band is still so popular, still talked about, and I still have the fondest of memories of working with all of those guys. Not to mention Mike Chapman, Jimmy's roadie, Mr. Manny Manuel, Shorty Lopez, Mark Allen's roadie, Mr. Chuck Atwood, Al's roadie, and then me working with Rick, and I still maintain friendships with many of these guys to this day. But this was more about Soldier, not about me. I can only talk about Soldier, though, through my own eyes, and I learned a lot about music. I learned a lot about stage performance. I learned a lot about just the music business in general by working with these guys, and it was greatly appreciated. One of the best times of my life. I will always remember with fondness my times of working with Soldier. Hey, there were, how about a couple other memories? How about the first time they did a triple bill? All 3 Christian bands of the Bay Area. Well, 3 of the Christian bands from the Bay Area. We had Believer, we had Crossforce, and Soldier playing the Mab in early 87, I believe it was. And the bands all start. The place is packed. It's a Sunday night. The owner of the club, who at first was, as I understood it, was rather skeptical, going, really? How many people are going to show up? Well, it was packed. There must have been, I don't know, 300, 400 people in this place. If that, I don't know. It was packed. And Soldier had to cut some stuff, to play. I remember the load in, the load out. I remember when Believer started, they started kicking into one of their first songs, and Warren Points, the bass player, he was having problems with his bass, and instead of just playing through it, Larry, the drummer, stands up and points it at Warren, and they stop because the band isn't playing. It's like, what's going on? He was just having bass gear malfunction, and they started the song over and kept on going. Great stuff. We had a great time playing the MAB. When we played with Messiah Prophet, we loaded all of our gear, and that's when Soldier had just gotten a bunch of these faux cabinets. 6 cabinets total, I think 6 high, or I forget what it was, but it was a stack, 6 on each side, maybe. Because I know Rick, I think we had 3 live and then 3 dummies, and then I think Jimmy had the same on the other side, and then Mark's bass rig, and it looked really impressive. And then after we finished, we had to haul the stuff off because Messiah Prophet did not have the same type of gear. And I remember Greg Valle coming up to me after, and I think Shorty, before he was Mark's roadie, because there was another guy named Jeff who was Mark's roadie. Jeff, I'm sorry, dude, I can't remember your last name. Those 2 guys, though, Shorty and I think Shorty was, wasn't the roadie at that point. This was been in early '87. Anyway, they come up and they're like, man, we walk in, we saw this great gear, and then Soldier played, and then all of a sudden all the great gear went away. And unfortunately, Messiah Prophet's gear was pretty well road-worn and road-beaten, and they played. It's just kind of funny. There are a lot of stories, one involving that doesn't reflect well on me at all. And anybody in the know will remember that there was a taxi, and I left everybody to get a taxi. Yeah, I'll leave it there. So lots of crazy stuff, great times, and really do wish at some point, it's one of those things. You never realize that some things won't last forever, and all you have are memories. But those memories, so long as they're good ones, they'll stay with you forever. Hey, my friends, until the next video, don't forget to say your prayers, and God bless.